So while I wait to see how I handle the rear end fix on this van, we're gonna do something a little more lighthearted and fix these ugly rear doors. So why are we doing a video dedicated just on replacing doors? Because from my initial attempts and a ton of supporting stories online, these are an absolute nightmare to change out. But the ones here on Scruffy are beat and they just have to go. As you can see, they've taken a few too many heavy loads to the inner panel. Both sides are caved in just a little bit, creating a poor seal, and they're kind of finicky to open and close. See this water droplet? It's dripping from a crease that shouldn't be there. Also, this window is a DIY plexi eyesore, which doesn't do very much in terms of vehicle security. This hole may or may not be there because I locked the keys in it once on a bike ride. These doors are the last reminder of the hard past life Scruff had as a janitor's escort. And I've waited so long to replace these doors because I was holding out hope that I would find a color matching set at the pick and pull in good condition. And after almost a year of waiting, I found the perfect pair. Back at the junkyard, found a color matching donor and has really straight back doors. Gonna replace our busted one. Got my buddy Rich. Hey Rich. So with these doors, they don't just unbolt. Everything is welded on. So we actually have to cut it right there, just so we can drive the pin out later, because those pins are a bear. And the tool.
One eternity later. Yeah, this is gonna be a minute, bro.
It took quite a while, but we finally got these doors off. Now we can get them home and begin installing them onto Scruffy. The only part that makes this job next to impossible is the simple task of removing the pins from these hinges. They're pressed into place, and often enough they'll corrode and fuse in. I've tried hammering and using an air chisel, but nothing has even tried to make these things budge. So to really put the pressure on these pins, we're going to attempt to make a special tool to help press them out. So basically what I want to do here is make a makeshift C-clamp, like a really heavy duty one, with a hole in the top that will allow this pin to come out through it, and a bolt on the bottom that's small enough to fit up into like the hinge housing pinhole. So we're gonna take some measurements, go to the hardware store, get some bolts that'll allow us to do that, and then just kind of tack everything together with some scrap steel and see what happens. It doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to work a couple times, because I don't think I'll ever use the tool again after this. After taking a couple of measurements and a quick trip to the hardware store, we have the pieces we need to tack this tool together. I don't get enough excuses to use the welder, so that's a driving factor behind this little project, and it's a fact that I could use the practice. We're starting by tacking 3 nuts together that will hold the driving pin in place, while trying to make sure a bolt will still thread through. So since it's so cold outside and I have a small welder, I was going to preheat the metal so tacking these bolts together would be easier, but I'm out of propane for my little torch. So I have to use something else to get those bolts hot. Feels warm. And for the top portion, we're doing the same, but with 2 extra large nuts for this pin to pass through. To keep me from having to do like a lot of angle grinding on this main piece, what I'm gonna do is actually make some little steel sandwich plates to mount the bolt to. That way I can kind of slide them around in place. The only thing is I have to make sure that it's like straight and true with the bolt. That way it'll actually drive up straight through and not cockeyed and get bound up. So, it's not the most sophisticated solution, but it's an easy one. And I think it should be pretty strong. So I'm gonna go with it. We're not doing anything overly fancy here, just eyeballing our angles, which may or may not be detrimental in the future. But this isn't supposed to be a high precision tool.
So I got a little overzealous, heated these bolts up a little bit too hot, and kind of warped them, and then my bolt got stuck. And then I tried to unstick it with the impact driver, and then I broke the head of it off, so now it's cool. So tomorrow I'm gonna cut these off, try again, and just try not to heat soak them as much so they warp. But it's really strong. I think it's gonna work. Just gotta do it right.
After a quick cut and do-over, we got it put back together. Although I did weld at a colder temperature, so it's really splotched together, but it should hold. Having made these clamp points separately, it really simplifies the process of getting our angles straight. Just line them up and weld them in place. Part I'm most concerned with is this mount. Obviously, it's an ugly weld, but it's all together, straight enough. I think the bolt's cockeyed a little bit, but this should give us enough pressure on that pin to try and drive it up and out without hopefully not breaking. So I guess let's give it a try. Now we get to see if this hodgepodge piece of scrap metal is going to do the job that it was designed to do. All right, so here's attempt number 1. The hope is we'll be able to put enough pressure on this pin and then whack it with a hammer that it should start to drive it loose. Just a little bit at a time. Ah! No! Dude! It actually works! I heard a pop. I was using the impact because I wasn't trying to drive it out with the impact because that would just break the tool, but just a little bit at a time. Then I heard a pop and the whole thing shifted. I was like, oh, I just stripped out my tool. But no, it was the pin releasing. The tool actually worked. Dude. Oh, that's so great. Oh God, heads, where'd it go? You know, I try so many stupid things on this channel, and 9 times out of 10, they don't work. But when they do actually work, it makes me so happy. I was able to get all 4 pins out of my new doors, which is great, but my van was a different story.
All right, so the ones on the van are being way more difficult because you can see, if this focuses, that they're a little more rusty than the donor doors. I was going like crazy with it. It's holding up, but it started to twist in the center. So I'm gonna straighten it back out, add some center supports to keep it from twisting, and maybe have another go at it. This side didn't budge at all, but you come over here, I don't think you can see it, but there's a little hairline fracture in the paint, which means it moved a micron. But I put some penetrating fluid on these, let them soak while I add some metal to this guy, so hopefully they'll back out a little easier, because this is the last thing stopping me from getting this project done.
We were able to get the tool line back up, and if this thing wasn't Frankenstein enough, I ended up adding some horizontal supports to it. By this point in time, this tool is getting a little ridiculous. It has enough mass to kill a person, but hopefully it will be horizontally as stiff as it was laterally, so we can bust these pins loose, because I really want to get these doors off today. So much trouble for one tool. Oh no. Gotta fix a weld. God. Oh man, thing is not budging. Well, turned out to be too much for it. It got the 4 pins out of the good doors, got 0 pins out of my doors, so I think I only got one choice to get my doors off now. So a second set of hands would be great. But we're good. Well, our tool worked for half the job, but sometimes you just need to stop finessing and plow your way to the end. We were able to save the 4 old pins, so we had enough to finish the job here. After cleaning out the old hinges and adding some grease, the rest of the job is as easy as shimmying the new doors into place and hammering the new pins into their new permanent homes, because I'm never taking them back out. And there you have it. Scruffy is looking a bit less scruffy. What do you guys think? I think it really ties this van together. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm a little sad to see the janitor go and get replaced with Hockey Mom. Plus side though, I can finally add my own stickers to this door now that they're here to stay. I still have a few things to do to these doors, like swap over this broken plastic piece and the lock and tumbler from the old door, And the top latch is a different style from the original, so I'll need to source the correct latch point from the junkyard. Overall though, I'm really happy with the result. If you're looking at doing this yourself, they do sell the tool I made on Amazon and eBay for around 50 bucks. But I'd be careful using it. Half the reviews I saw say that it breaks right away, which is why I decided to try making one first. If your pins are rusted in like mine were, you might try torching them first. You're gonna need touch-up paint anyway. Thanks for watching my masterful welding skills today, and until next time, keep that rubber side down.